Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Doctor Who and Autism series. Today I'm joined with Ery, and we're going to be speaking about Doctor Who and autism today. Of course, so Ery, thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun. Before we kind of start recording, we said a long time no see because we only did like another panel, the about maybe 1 to 2 weeks ago, so not
Yeah.
long.
And that's the first time you and I had actually met. So,
Yeah,
and I remember I fangirled like crazy when I saw that wardrobe behind you. I was like, oh, yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. It's good because I didn't know you liked Doctor Who, and
I do. I can't say I'm a huge geeky fan, but I do like it a lot, and it sort of like represents a lot about. I suppose there's a lot of things pro and con autism in it that we could
yeah,
explore today.
definitely, definitely. Well, before we get into all that, would you mind just introducing yourself
Mhm.
first?
Yeah, of course. My name's Berry, whichever you want to call me, and I run two YouTube channels. One is just called Ery Berry, which I haven't really uploaded for about a year because I'm focusing more on my true crime channel, which is called Ery Berry True Crime. I'm on Twitter. I've got a Facebook page. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, but I don't do a lot of TikTok. I work full time, so I'm trying to do everything, but it's not that easy to do everything. So trying to do these podcasts, but focusing a lot on my true crime channel. So true crime's your thing. Go over.
Yeah, you're very busy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Um, but I'm glad you had time today to talk about autism, Doctor Who, and yeah, it's going to be really nice to kind of talk. So before we kind of start, maybe the Doctor Who side of things, do you want to say maybe a little bit about when you was diagnosed with autism?
Yeah, I was leading up to it. I was 28 when I first had an inclination that it could be autism. When I say it, I mean like all the quirks and eccentricities and why I found certain things difficult. And if anything, I was trying to refute it. I was trying to look into, that it definitely wasn't that. But the more I did, the more I was drawn to it. So to cut long story short about trying to get a referral and then eventually get the assessment and all the paperwork you have to fill in, I was just shy of my 32nd birthday when I was diagnosed. And since then, it's been a really strange journey because I then had to go through a period of self-acceptance.
Mm.
And I think only the last 2 3 years that's actually happened, and that's like 5 years after I was diagnosed. It took a long time, but I think now I'm nearly 40. It's I think I'm a lot more comfortable with being who I am than I ever was before.
Yeah, it is. It's very hard when you get diagnosed, isn't it? Not just with autism, with anything really. Um, like you accept it, and then I think when you learn to accept that you have autism and stuff, you can kind of speak about it like we are today, like we did in the panel that we did. But yeah, because there's so much on top of autism in there that you can talk
Mhm.
about.
Definitely. And I think what a lot of people don't think is that if everybody's got with autism has the same personality, has the same quirks, is on the same wavelength, that we are still individual people. And no to autistic people are alike, just like no to neurotypical people are alike, because they could have other things too or nothing else. And doesn't mean that we're all automatically going to get along. I'm gay as well, and I found the same thing when I tried to get into my local gay community. I thought that everybody would be welcoming with open arms, but they weren't, and it was hard to break into, and I never really did. Um, so it's that's the whole. I think the whole social thing has been so difficult for me, but now I've kind of come to accept that I'm not a social person. I never will be a social person, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Animals are way better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It is something that like because we're all different, we're not all gonna be like as sociable. Um, like it is very hard though. Like
mm,
I was diagnosed when I was 9 and like in
that's-
the, that was in the 2000s, like early 2000s.
mm,
Um, and like but now back then lots of people my age were getting diagnosed about then, but
mhm.
now like 20 years later, I see more people older on it like later on in life, not like age 9 or anything really. I see more like 30s or even older, which it's very interesting because it was the thing when I was 9, everyone was about 9, 10, around that kind of sort of age. But there's a thing where you can be any sort of age, but like you say, self-acceptance is very important.
Mm. Yeah, because a lot of people, a misconception about autistic people is that we don't like socializing. Well, actually, we do. It's just that we are autistic people in a neurotypical world, and we have to dance to a tune with which we cannot tune into, if that makes sense. And having to compromise and find workarounds without anyone there to guide us and just work it out for ourselves and get it wrong so many times is hard, very hard.
Yeah, it is like um, when I found out I was autistic, I didn't accept it either. Like at
Mm,
first, it was a time when I was at primary school, um, and then I went into secondary school, and I still wasn't really accepting it until
no.
really late on, maybe year 9, 10, and 11, maybe around
Mm,
that sort of time. And it was yeah, it was difficult. Like I was one of those type of people, in school with people doing their work, and they all know what they're doing, and I'm maybe the only one that doesn't. And I still say I know what I'm doing and pretend to write answers down on the sheet. I did struggle to ask for help, and um, it is very hard. But um, I
yeah,
guess
it is.
I guess as you get older, you grow confident when you talk about the things that you never thought you would talk about.
Hmm. Definitely, yeah. And it's like finding the answers to who you are. Like I think Hannah Gadsby described it as she'd been handed the keys to the city of me.
Yeah, yeah. It is very interesting talking to different people, like because I guess one of the problems that when you get diagnosed, you maybe don't know anyone who has autism if you haven't heard of it.
Mm,
Um, because like now you maybe now we've had it for like we're diagnosed for maybe quite a while now, and like you
mhm,
kind of now we kind of think if someone else don't know what autism is, you kind of think yourself, well, you don't know what autism is, you never heard of autism, and then when we was maybe diagnosed, maybe we didn't know. So I guess you don't know until
mm,
you don't know until you got it, like you have something yourself.
mhm, definitely. And it's also it amazes me that everybody, the average person walking down the street, they're a psychologist in their own right. They know more than the psychologist. They can tell if someone's autistic or not. We don't need psychologists. Yeah, whatever. The amount of times I had people telling me, "Oh, you haven't got autism," that's because you have been misinformed as to what autism is. The whole world's been misinformed. It's a lot more. It's a lot more broader than we think, and that information has fallen under the radar. It's we're trying to make people aware of it now, but they're sort of, in a way, not open to it because I think maybe from a neurotypical point of view, because it's to do with behavior, they just think that we are plain refusing to play by the rules and that it's a personality trait as opposed to a software difference. Like what was it, the autistic gardener, Alan Gardner, he said that we are different operating systems, we're not broken computers. So
Yeah.
you can't expect an Xbox to play a PlayStation game and vice versa.
No,
That mean,
no,
yeah.
I understand that, and it's almost like the world isn't meant like we spoke about like the educational system in the panel that we was in, like it's not kind of there to for it's not there like the whole system isn't for meant for autistic people really. It's not worked for us,
Mm-hmm.
like because uh, because everyone's different and everyone has a different experience. Like for me, I had a year in one mainstream school, wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
No one really understood me. Then I went to a special school where people have autism and other needs too. But some people are okay, and
Mm.
I guess it depends on the person you are. But um, I think the way it all depends on the way teachers are and how their mannerisms are, the way they flap their hands maybe, and
Yeah.
they all do what they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but what I liked when we was on that panel, Ery, is that you mentioned the land of was it
The Ood.
Autistica? No,
Oh, oh,
like
if
yeah.
I were to win the lottery and I would buy an island, I'd call it Autistica, and we could all go there. We could all have a wonderful time, and I, of course, will be queen,
Yeah,
and Connor will be. He said he wanted to be prime minister. Fine, I'll give him that. And I think we'll we'll have you as the head of entertainment because you're into the whole science fiction thing, so that'll be good. But yeah,
yeah,
it's just basically creating our own utopia or whatever. So that would be an amazing place. And I often used to think if there was such thing as Doctor Who and the TARDIS, if there was such place as Autistica, I'd love to go there.
yeah,
But if we're talking in terms of the actual show, there is one place that almost made me cry, and that was the planet of the Ood.
yeah. Like the one with it was the one with Donna in it, wasn't it?
Mm,
That one. Um, but the only thing I got, you know, in the episode when I think one of the main people of who's in charge of the Ood
mm,
um turned into a nude like
mm.
towards the end, and I got quite freaked out of that bit. It looked really real.
It did, but the thing is, the Ood are actually peaceful, and
Yeah,
they may look weird, but they're not weird. And that's I think it's kind of the opposite thing with autism is that we don't look different, but we are different. And it's when I saw the places like being as it was, I don't know what it was about it. I thought I want to live there. I think I would feel kind of in my place there because I wouldn't be the only weird person.
yeah.
Mhm.
I do love the Ood though. That they are like I think if they we all go to this place called Autistica,
Mhm.
the dude I've got to be there. I think.
Definitely. I think that would be great. You know what? I might even do a fan fiction on that
Yeah,
because I did fan fiction for Sherlock years ago because I had major writer's block and I did fan fiction to get rid of it.
yeah,
And I might do a fan fiction for Autistica for Doctor Who. See if
yeah,
we can do that.
yeah. I think that'd be a fun thing to do.
Mhm.
Um, like it's a shame my TARDIS doesn't really work. So
Yeah, it's a shame.
yeah. But you get people making their own TARDISes now, don't you? Like
Yeah,
out there.
definitely. Yeah, I suppose you could sort of do it as an illusion, like a bit like it was in the Big Bang Theory, where you put the doors on the outside of the building, so it makes it look like it is the call box, but then you open the doors and it's an open door to the building.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
yeah. Like I think Oud would be good in Autistica. I picture it to be very snowy. I don't know why, because like the Oud, the planet of the Oud, maybe snowy. Like it could be a snowy winterland or something.
Oh, Winter Wonderland, be gorgeous
Yeah,
because then it'll be a lot better on the sensory because it won't be too hot, and if it is cold, you can just snuggle up, and it won't be too bright, and there won't be all these flies and everything flying around and everything, and you can just focus on being comfortable, drinking hot cocoa. That'd be brilliant. I also like the idea of the library from Silence in the Library. Of course, without the Vashta Narada, they can go. But I like the idea of that library being there,
I
all
love
of
the
that
library.
knowledge, and you could it just looks amazing. All these books that you could read, and you could probably be a little bit like the Vashta Narada, where you can actually look up digitally all the subjects of a book without actually having to read the books. It's almost like downloading information. But honestly, it looked amazing. I was like, yes, I want to go and live in that library.
I love that. I love those episodes, like
Hmm.
the library episodes.
Hmm.
Um, like I love that. Like it looks really big as well.
Mm.
Like the library.
Planet sized, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
But it was
Yeah,
it makes you wonder because it's supposed to be basically was it the figment of a girl's imagination,
yeah, yeah. It
but
was. Yeah,
in real life. But the TARDIS can go into places like that, and I think it was quite sneaky of them to create the Vashta Narada because they didn't really have any life form, did they? All they did was go into those people's spaceship suits or whatever, and But then what I found was quite interesting was there was a world within the world where people could go and live a utopian life, um, which is where Donna went briefly, where she was apparently married with the kids,
Yeah.
and everybody was saved in there. And that kind of made me think, wow, that just seems amazing. That seems such a nice peaceful ending. It's a kind of happy ending where it's not, and they lived happily ever after, but it's kind of like, it's the calm of the sea.
Yeah. It's
That sounds good.
like that man, because of course that was a dream, but when they were back in the library, um, like she
Mm.
saw him,
Yeah,
and they remembered him but couldn't say his name. Like
yeah, because he had the speech impediment, didn't he, or something, or
yeah,
and Donna couldn't find him in that, but she actually ended up getting married, and then I think the doctor got her to win the lottery. I think that was how her story ended, but she didn't actually marry that man in the end. So I suppose it was a happy ending, but not at the same time.
yeah, yeah. It is. I loved like it's very hard, but like the Bust and Narada are like a one-off kind of monster, I guess. Because I would always love to see them again, but it's very hard for monsters like that. What they're gonna do differently, like
Mm,
um I'm really interested. I am interested, like how they did the shadow, because they had to do something with the lighting to
mm.
actually make that kind of happen, like the moving shadow.
I think they probably did it as a split screen with the light moving to another place and then add it together, or they did it digitally. But that was pretty clever. I thought it
Yeah,
was pretty clever, and it was quite frightening that they would like throw the chicken leg off into the shadows, and it would just rip off all of the flesh. Ugh. But it was pretty good. I actually think Donna, I think she was probably one of the most popular assistants because she was almost like everybody, a bit geeky, a bit wacky, a bit fun. Having trouble with employment, having trouble with her love life, having trouble with her mother, and trying to find self worth, and wanting a friend without there being any kind of emotional, like romantic entanglement. So I think she spoke to a lot of people, and maybe I think that's why Donna was. I think I saw on a poll that she was the second to Sarah Sarah Jane Smith. She was the second favorite assistant of all time, with Rose and then Amy after that.
yeah. I think maybe because like they weren't like loving companion. She wasn't falling in love with the Doctor.
No,
Um,
that's true.
and sorry, Jane weren't either really. Um, but they still adored the Doctor, but just not more in a
Mm-hmm.
friendship kind of way, like with Amy,
Mm-hmm.
and Rose, and even Martha. That they all kind of like just like the Doctor, and
Mm,
the Doctor can't. It's an alien who doesn't really understand, I guess,
yeah,
what's going on. Um,
that's true. I think as well with Donna is that it was just pure friendship with those two, and I think Catherine Tate, she's not only funny but she's an amazing actress, and she was able to bring a lot of raw emotion to it. And I think that's when I really sort of paid attention to Doctor Who, when she was the companion. And then the wife and I went back and we actually rewatched all of it from Christopher Eccleston all the way up to Peter Capaldi. And I was a bit, the assistants tend to change a lot, and that's one thing that we as autistic people can't always deal with, is change. We have to deal with not only a new doctor, but each doctor has about 4 different companions that interchange. Is how come they can't stick around for a bit? But I suppose it's because the actors and everything. But it's good when they come back, like they did with Rose and they did with Harkness. But that's one thing that I'm finding a bit difficult with Doctor Who is all these changes. If you watch it now, it's nothing like, it's several doctors and several companions and several tones removed from how it used to be.
yeah, it's like it's hard, isn't it? Because like it's like if you grow attached to a certain character, like you don't want to let it go, and like it's hard. Like
Mhm.
I guess like with like Clara,
Mhm.
I think she probably maybe one of the longest running probably companions.
Yeah, she was because she was along with Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi as well,
Yeah,
and in the end she went off and in her own TARDIS and went off on her own adventures. So that's a good thing for her. But I think I don't know what it is, but ever since Matt Smith, you know, he he put an end to it, and then it was Peter, and then it was Jodie. It's almost every time there's a new Doctor, you're thinking halfway through the series is who's going to be the next Doctor,
mm,
and because I think that the changes are so frequent, that sets an anxiety of oh my god, there's going to be another change, there's going to be another personality, and I think I still can't get my head around regeneration. But I think that was put in there from the very first Doctor who couldn't do it anymore, and then you changed the actor, and it was a cheat's way of doing it. But why does a Doctor need to regenerate every 2 years, and why does it have to be a different person? Why can't he or she or they regenerate to the same life form but using different? I don't know. It's just my view on that.
yeah, yeah. They have a couple of times. I think like David Tennant done it that Dalek episode, and he got shot by a Dalek, and he regenerated into his hand. Um, but I don't. I remember when Peter Capaldi, I think Bill shot the 12th Doctor, and then he didn't do a proper regeneration. He just went into fire, and then he didn't fully regenerate. And I'm still curious of that. How did that happen? Because surely they change, or maybe if they get shot by a small bullet, it doesn't really affect them.
Yeah, quite possibly. But it's I think that each time they have chosen a new Doctor, they have chosen the right actor for it. But going forward, it's always who's it going to be, who's it going to be, and now it's sort of becoming a bit political. Like they made it a woman, and now who's it now that's going to be?
Shooty Gatwa.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the time with them, especially the last companions, they were from different ethnicities and they were more male sided, whereas it had been female before, and I think sometimes it can get it's I think maybe more focus should be on the story rather than trying to make the characters as different as possible to satisfy them, because a lot of the time the fans can become so angry if it doesn't meet up to their expectations or what they think it should be, and you can't please everybody because somebody might want something that somebody else doesn't like. And it's the whole thing. I suppose it's another thing that resonates about autistic is not pleasing people, never doing the right thing. You do one thing and it's all right for some person and it's not all right for another person, and sometimes you're like, right, I've had enough, jack it in. And just my opinion is that maybe that's why the showrunners changed quite a lot of the time, because there was just so much of this going on that you can't go, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this, and then there's people going, well, yeah, but what about this, what about this? And it's just a lot more work that needs to be. And I think something like Doctor Who or Sherlock that have a lot of expectations set, it I suppose it can be very stress inducing. And I used to fantasize about being a writer for Sherlock, but now I think I'd be like, I don't think I could do it. It'd be too stressful. And Doctor Who, I think it would regenerate that stress every single episode, because there's always a new thing to live up to. What do the fans want? Or what do we want? What, it's the fans, but it's also about what's good for the characters, what's good for the story. So it seems like you can never win when it comes to this type of popular fan fiction.
Yeah, yeah. Like I think the hard thing when you're autistic as well, like you said, like change is really hard. Um, like I when watching David Tennant as a Doctor, um, I was attached to him. I was about 10 when he
Mm.
probably left,
Mm.
and I was sad. um, it's good when they affect you like that, but it's also not, because they make you physically attached, and then like I think the David Tennant could have gone on for an even a good maybe 3 or 4 more years if he wanted
Mm-hmm.
to. Um, and I guess that they just want to move on, or they just have a contract. But like you say, it's very political now. Um, like like with the like putting it to a girl, and then now what what they're doing now. But I think like they could have done that years ago, couldn't they?
Yeah,
Um,
I think they should have done it a long time ago. And I think it's I think what was really good, I really liked it, was the fact that they had also an interracial marriage in there, and Grace, and I can't remember who Bradley Walsh played, but I thought that they were just a lovely, amazing couple, and I love the fact that Grace, even though she was in only one episode, I think it was one episode,
yeah,
she resonated through, and then the whole thing about the step grandson bonding with his step grandfather. I think those are just amazing things, well, because there's things that we can all relate to, because you can make it all about aliens, you can make it all about the supernatural and sci-fi, but it's about those relationships. I think that's the core of it as well. And relationships are the most complex thing, rather than whatever's out there.
yeah, yeah. And I really like Bradley Walsh's character too. Um, I wasn't. For me, he Bradley Walsh within Joey Whittaker's era. I think he's the best companion.
Mm.
Um, beating like Yaz, and it's hard with Dan. I do like Dan. I think Dan is good, but like I think with like a good granddad figure, um, that Graham, his character's called, um, Graham is, and like I think the storyline with Grace was good. Would have been nice to see Grace a bit more because
Mm.
they got on. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yeah, it's good.
yeah, I thought that was really good, and I did like the those main companions that Jodie Whittaker had. I think I think she brought such a massive resonance to the character that she still sort of like was very doctory, and didn't try and sort of emulate, sort of like say, well, how can I be like the previous one? She made it her own. So I'm kind of sad she's going, but it'll be great to see what, you know, what every actor brings to it. They bring a part of themselves, and so I think it's going in the right direction, but I think there's a huge pressure on the producers and everyone to make sure that they get it right. And I think that's a good thing. We should definitely be a lot more inclusive, and shows like Doctor Who have a responsibility to make sure that everything, that they don't make everything all straight white, you know, and that everything is throughout the whole spectrum of all kinds of ethnicities and sexualities and differences. It should all be celebrated. So maybe another companion could be somebody who is physically disabled,
Yeah,
you know, that kind of thing. And I did like the fact that Bradley Walsh's character, he's like what, 60, or supposed to be like 50, 60, because
yeah,
quite a lot of them were younger, like young women, you know, and it's great to have a older companion.
yeah. Like
um, yeah.
yeah, like since Wilfred, I think he's
Mhm.
been the best. Like so since Wilfred, like because he's one of the best grounded figures in Doctor Who. Like I think Bradley Walsh has done really well with that, and I would have liked to see him for longer. Like in the series.
Yeah.
Not like I like like the thing about Ryan's character is a bit the only thing that's really like sad about it. It's because they did a dyspraxia storyline, but I don't think it was fulfilled to its like maximum that they could have done with it, and
Mm.
like so that's the only thing like with his character because he doesn't feel like he's there a lot.
Mhm.
He's more like just like a side character. He's just there.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I get that. That's the thing about having a character there for the sake of having them there. What purpose are they? Because if you were thinking in reality, if the Doctor really did exist, they'd take somebody with them who they feel could be useful, or they would like say, "I can show you the world and more." Somebody who they're either interested in or can bring something to the party. And yeah, I think it's you can't just have somebody there for the sake of just having them there. But I think maybe in reality, if you're friends with somebody and you like them, it's not always about what use they are for you, but you like their company. So I suppose in a way it's company.
I
for
guess.
us. Mm.
I guess he did say some good kind of encouraging lines to the Doctor. But like
Sometimes you need that. Sometimes you just
yeah.
need that person that gives you those little comforting lines, as well as somebody like my other half who can basically fix anything. You know, like if something's broken, can fix it. But then I'm someone who more would like sort of sit there and analyze something, and then we got somebody else who's more the sort of like, I'll give you a hug and keep, you know, so everybody brings something to the party. So
Okay. Yeah, it's good to be like that. Like, but I feel like Jodie Whittaker's Doctor is between the lines of Matt Smith and David Tennant's Doctors, like in that kind of realm kind of thing. Like they are very similar incarnations. So if they messed the game of incarnations up, she would fit in between them two because, of course, Peter Capaldi is very different.
mm-hmm,
Um, so she just has a couple of similarities
mm-hmm,
with Matt and David.
mm-hmm. I think Peter I don't know what it is about Peter Capaldi, but the way that he was and even the way his character dressed, he reminded me of a magician. He reminded me of somebody who could sort of say, and here we have, you know, and then just show a box with something that was in it that isn't now. He just reminds me of a magician.
It's a shame he didn't have a wand then.
Yeah, that you know that instead of having a sonic a screwdriver, he could have said, "Well, I'll just get this. It'll make it look like one of those magician's wands, you know, because everybody will think, oh, that's a gimmick. No, it's a real thing. It'll
Yeah,
actually work."
yeah.
But
Yeah.
that would have been good. But it'd be interesting if Doctor Who goes on for much longer. That what differences they would create. You know, how much can you do until the imagination runs out, which I don't get will. But that'd be a good thing.
Yeah, I was worried for it. Like if Jodie did another series, how it would turn out because of course like ratings have gone down. Like which it was even before Jodie was Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was between Peter and Jodie. Just the writing hasn't been to its kind of best, like that Doctor Who is used to.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I was worried to see it might be an axe, but but now that the 60th is just around the corner, and then you've got like Russell T Davis back. I think it's okay. It's going to be okay for the future. I think the future, thinking of the future, they've got a transgender kind of character storyline
Mm.
for the 60th, which is great. It's good to see the casting more diverse, like the diverse actors. Like you got the new Doctor Who is the first kind of gay actor to play the Doctor, so that's good.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. I think I was gonna say like Bill Potts. I like the fact that they had a lesbian character as well, and that there was a love story attached with that, which was quite touching. And uh, I think some certain characters. I mean, we all know who the Daleks are. I mean, they're probably the
Mm.
most recognizable villain in the whole thing. But then you
Yeah,
got things like the Weeping Angels. I'd love to see them come back. They were amazing. And sometimes I think that familiarity can be, yes, we like a new doctor, we may like a new companion and fresh start, but we'd like to see some oldie goldies, you know, back. Or what were they called? The silence, the
yeah,
ones that you
yeah.
don't see when you look away. Because apparently they were destroyed, but maybe they weren't. You never know.
They were seen in you know the episode that Captain Jack came back with
Mm-hmm.
the 30th Doctor when she was in the prison. They were in the cell. So they,
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it'd be quite interesting to see those, and I think the Vashta Narada, I'd love to see those come back in some other kind of form, and maybe get maybe an origin story about those. It'd be, I think it's good to go not just bring in a villain, have the villain defeated for the sake of it, but go deeper into things. And I think that's what we as autistic people like. We like to find explanations for things. So I think the whole thing about finding an explanation for something is is a deeper episode to go into, and it can't just be all for show. It's got to be deeper than that.
yeah, yeah. I would love to see them back too. And it would be nice not to be in the library this time.
Oh yeah,
I don't mind it in the library. I loved it in the library, but it's just somewhere different.
yeah.
Because do you remember when the doctor said, I think to Donna, when he was on the floor, like I think it might have been River as well, that they asked, like he said, Basta Narada hunt in the dark, and he said that they're on Earth,
Hmm.
and I remember him saying they're on Earth and like roadkill and stuff like that. So it could be an Earth storyline where they're somewhere on Earth because he said that.
That's right. I mean, that could be many things. So yeah, if anyone's seeing this who can get me a job on Doctor Who as a writer, me, yeah,
Yeah.
because I am a writer at my heart, but I write for myself really. So
Oh, that's
I
good.
think, but I've only published one novel, but that's it took me a long time to write that thing. But
Yeah.
I think writing is at my heart and core, but I do that for myself,
Oh, well,
not for commercial purposes.
it's a good hobby. But I think Doctor Who is one of the hardest shows to write.
Mm,
Um, hardest things
good,
to write.
definitely. It's I suppose it's a rewarding process, but a stressful process.
Yeah, yeah, because like I listen to Russell T Davies. He says like if people like Doctor Who is one of the hardest things that he's ever done, and like um and it is it's very difficult. Even think about it on a side, like you got to have a new story. Not everyone's gonna like every episode, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like I don't like every episode. Um, the episodes I don't like are the time loop ones where they go in circles.
Hmm. That's right, yeah. So I did like that. One thing I really loved was the whole story of Amy and Rory, and the fact that 2000 years and he's still, you know, stayed by her side and everything. And so I, I think I've run out of things to think about really just then.
Yeah, like Rory. It was interesting because I think the doctor said he told Rory to go somewhere else and like you don't have to watch her. And then he said, um, "Will she be safe without me?" Like watching her, he said no. So the whole story, the Rory storyline, always reminds me of the Clara storyline because they all the time like dying all the time and coming back.
Hmm. I think that's a good thing. I mean, there's about Rose going into the parallel universe with her doctor, and do you know, I really loved that. What was her name? That Freema,
Martha.
Martha. I love that Martha and Mickey got married in the end. I love that they met once. You only see them meet once, and then they get married, and they end up. She left unit and then just joined. Then she made this sort of like rogue assassin, with Mickey. I think that was really good, and I think Mickey deserved that because I think he was sidelined a lot, and he was in love with Rose, and yet she fell out of love with him, and I think it was a good thing that he found the right one, and that
Yeah,
Martha found the right one. So that was a good storyline. I thought that things do come full circle and that people do find their right one, but they're not all about happy endings in Doctor Who.
no, like but like with Bill, I would have loved to see Bill go on to go on from the
Mm.
12 to 13 Doctor.
Yeah, yeah, she wasn't in it very much, was she? So
No.
sometimes you get those companions that are in it just once. I think it was there a Lady D'Souza that Michelle Ryan
Yeah,
played, and I think the doctor said, "No, I don't want you to come with me." And but I thought, well, what was the point then? But then I suppose there's always going to be one that doesn't stay at it for long, or I like them to sometimes go back to previous companions after going with others. Like that happened with Rose, it happened with Donna, it happened with Martha, and I think I'd like to see that a little bit more because sometimes I don't know whether you're the same. I like to sort of reminisce, and sometimes I think the past is some things from the past are so comforting to me that I want them back.
yeah,
Like, but then I think moving on is sometimes very hard for us
yeah,
to do.
yeah. I like that about like especially like the last episodes of Dave Tennant going back to everyone, even the
Mm-hmm.
little ones like that writer on the Family of Blood storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Like but like just going back to those other ones you don't expect, and I'd like to see like more of that. It's really good, like how many the 10th Doctor went to, and I think for each Doctor now that they follow on that. It might not go with seeing them like David Tennant's Doctor did, but like with Matt, he had like Amy like had like a ghost, like a vision at the end, and then you had Peter Capaldi had them almost like androids, like in
Mhm,
that android figure, and I presume Jodie will be the same. Like they'll all come back for her last
mhm.
episode as well.
That'd be amazing, yeah. But it's I think it's just got the potential to go on forever, but it's never going to be the same as it was. And I think when you sign up to Doctor Who, you've got to sign up to the fact that it is going to be an ever changing, ever evolving. Yes, it's going to have nostalgia. Yes, there are going to be things that go full circle, but then quite a lot of the time the circle goes right out the loop, and you
Yeah,
have to before you go into it, you have to sign up for that. So you go to something like Sherlock, you know that you're always going to have Sherlock. With the Doctor, you're never going to always have that one Doctor. You're never always going to have that one companion. So
yeah. The one thing I love about Doctor Who though is the music.
mm,
I love the music.
that I did as well. I think it's changed each time they've brought in a new Doctor, haven't they? So,
Yeah,
but I think it's all got that same blueprint. But I think that's I do like, yeah, I like the music as well.
yeah. Like whenever I do a podcast or something, when I write it up, I have to put the music on in the background. Um, so I can concentrate, and sometimes with my autism, I'll play the same one over and over again.
Yeah, I do. I was talking to a therapist about that, and the thing about re-watching the same thing again and again is that it's something you enjoy. There's no surprises, so you're never going to be disappointed because you know that you're going to do the same thing. Yes, it may not have the same effect on you when you first see it, but then that's a good thing because if you rewatch it and rewatch it, you know you're always comforted. Like I rewatched The Big Bang Theory over and over and over. I think we're on the like 10th marathon that we've done
Yeah,
because we know exactly what's going on, and it's one of my favorite sitcoms. And I think with Doctor Who, I could quite easily do marathons of that, but I think I'd probably need a lot more series
yeah,
than that. So I'm quite happy for it to continue.
yeah. It's good. Like that, it is going to continue. And I wonder what if they, because that's what I did for Classic Who. Then they had a break. I wonder if that will happen again. At some point. Like they may get to like maybe the 28th series or something, or maybe that they want to reboot it or go back to series one. I don't know. Like if they could go up to maybe 100 series of New Who, but you know
Mhm.
it is something that I like, and um I just love soundtracks. But the Doctor Who music for Jodie I don't as enjoy um
Mm.
as much as before. Um which I know it's a change thing, but the only thing I have about the music is I don't really as connected to it, and as like it's very quiet as well, the music.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say I'm gonna have to. You know what? This has made me want to go back and rewatch them because they're all on Netflix. I think.
I
So I
think
think
I'm BBC iPlayer.
they are. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they're also on Netflix. But
Uh,
I think I'll
oh,
go back and rewatch them and
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
But it's like one of the things it showed you was the TARDIS showing. I can't remember who it was. The I think it was Rose or it might have been Donna. The origins of Earth. You know
Yeah.
how Earth first formed, and about the moon being a dragon's egg.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's I do enjoy all of those ones. Like there was the one where there was the devil, the beast.
Yeah.
That one has always stayed with me because it's dark. I like it when they go to the dark and mysterious. There's always those few ones that stay with you. But I think my favorite ones are the ones with Donna. I just like her as a character, and I think the ones with Donna, I don't know why, but I think they were the best ones.
Yeah. Like for me, series four is the best series of a like Doctor Who that I've watched.
Yeah.
Um, because they have Donna in it, and it's great. Like I love the two parters, especially. I love two-part episodes. Um,
Mhm.
but the only thing is, like, they leave it on a to could be continued, and then you're thinking to yourself, I've got to wait another week to see what happens.
I know that's why sometimes I like it when you get like series release on Netflix or something like that, where you can binge watch an entire series.
Yeah,
But I think it's good to have it be to be continued, but maybe it's probably best to have an entire series with a continuous storyline that may be changing each episode, but culminates in a marrying of different things all in the final episode. So it was all building up
yeah,
to something, because quite a lot of time it's all these little individual adventures to a certain planet that's got some trouble, and then it needs to be sorted out, and then either the doctor saves the day or the companion saves the day. That maybe it's all part of a bigger picture, maybe.
yeah. Yeah, you know when like you watch an episode and it says next time and it gives you a little clip. Would
Mm.
you like rather watch that, or would you like to be surprised, like not to see what happens next week till you see it?
I'd like to, in many ways, I'd like to be surprised, because if I see a clip, then my mind will be going right, saying, "What's that?" So if they just say, "Let's just tune in next time for whatever it's going to be," that might make my mind go right, but it's not going to plant a seed. I'm going to go into it without any prior knowledge or expectation.
Yeah,
So in many ways, I think that's a good thing. On the fence about that, really.
yeah. Um, and like because Doctor Who always used to be on Saturdays.
Mm.
When the whole thing got changed when like Jodie came in and it changed to Sunday, like what was you like because like with autism and like routine, like you're used to that kind of day. Like, did that kind of bother you that they changed the day?
Not really, because I used to watch it. I didn't always watch it when it actually first came out. I would often watch it midweek anyway, when we'd have like a Doctor Who night. So that didn't change. Or if I missed an episode, then we would watch them together another time. Or if we wanted to read, like if we'd missed a few episodes, we would pick a time to watch them. So I have routine, but the I can't remember the last time I ever watched regular television.
Me too.
Mm.
I'm always watching these like shows on Amazon Prime, Netflix. Um,
That's right. Yeah.
um, like when I was growing up, I used to watch Emmerdale and like Coronation Street with my family, but now that's kind of it's boring to me because it's the same all the
Mm.
time. Like it annoys me when the storyline goes on for so long.
Mm.
That's why I like Doctor Who because normally, not recently because we haven't found out with Jodie with all the storylines, but normally in a series that will get resolved, maybe two series max. But with a soap, it could be a year until
That's
something
right.
gets finished. And I'm thinking, I want to know now. I don't want to wait a year. And then
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the reasons I stopped watching EastEnders because I waited a year to see like a storyline. I wanted to know what happened, and then when I knew what happened, I was really disappointed. So I stopped watching it.
Yeah, I think because back then, like when I was much younger, that was all we had was the regular television. We didn't know any different, and nobody knew where the internet was going to take us. Nobody knew it would be like it would be is now. But now that it is, you can't go back
No.
to how it was, because you
Yeah.
get so used to it. Um, and so I don't think I could sit there and go, "Oh, it's going to be on in 10 minutes" and everything like that, because I like having. Because when I was younger, I used to love having television in my room where I could watch what I wanted when I wanted. Yes, I had to put a cassette tape in, and then eventually DVDs. So it's kind of like the same thing. It's kind of like having your own room with your own on demand, but albeit with a thing that you have to put into a device.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's just that sort of evolved, really. So
Yeah. Um. I know you like we said about like Saturday Sundays, but would you watch it like because they changed it for Christmas specials, like they had Christmas specials, and then now it's on New Year's Day specials? Like, are you that bothered about that?
I think when it comes to New Year's and Christmas, I would be okay with that, because that to me is a whole time for chilling out, and there's a lot more things to do at the time. So I won't be sitting there thinking, oh, I can't wait for that. I'll be like, well, there's a lot of other things I can watch in the time, because there's so many more things that's on over Christmas
Yeah.
and so many more things to do. So that's fine. But yeah, the whole thing about waiting a whole week to see a conclusion of a story, it's always frustrating, but I think that's a good thing, because that keeps you hooked, because there's no continuation. of a story, or if it's not very many continuations, then that's not really what television is at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If you don't keep the audience script, it's frustrating.
Yeah, we have to wait.
Mhm.
Like if it's a Netflix series, might have 10 episodes in one hit. So and then there's no more kind of content for that, maybe for another year.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Like the Doctor shows quite a lot of autistic traits themselves, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're talking incessantly, the spilling out of the knowledge at a million miles an hour. If someone like that, you think, well, okay, right, slow down. So yeah, you can sort of understand that in a way, that he looks human, but he's not. And so yeah, I think in many ways we can all sort of like acknowledge that. And to be called the Doctor, like being given an alias, it's almost like being given a gang name.
Yeah.
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 Don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's say for example, if we were on Autistica, what would we all be called? We could be like X-Men, where we get ourselves our own names.
Yeah, it could just be I don't know. That's a good thing to think about, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. So
um
then you got
yeah.
the Doctor, the Master. You know, what else are you going to call them? Are you going to make up a whole word or whatever?
Yeah, it must be hard for them to create all these new monsters though,
Mm.
because I love seeing new monsters. Like I like seeing old ones back too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I would love to see Slovene backs, Silurians as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love the Slovene because they were just funny. They're just like Joker alien where you don't get that much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like it is funny when the Doctor has jokes with them, and I would love to see an alien companion as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was a good idea to do things like the doppelgangers was quite funky, because it sort of makes you backtrack and think, hang on, did I miss something? At what point did they become a doppelganger? You know, it's I like the fact that they come up with new. It's not just monsters; it's different beings and stuff. But I think there was one that it reminded me of anime, because it was something I've seen in anime. It might have been from Japanese folklore, where a creature eats a person, and that person's still alive inside them, and their face comes out on their body. That's not a new thing. That I remember seeing in anime a while ago, and then it had the people inside like destroying him, and then she still lives inside that slab. And I thought, they're always going to find some way of bringing somebody back. I think it's a good thing, but I think sometimes I think they have to put some real things in there. You have to deal with things like death and stuff, and I know they do that, especially like with Grace and that. And I thought that was a brave thing to do, that they weren't going to bring her back.
Yeah,
That dealing with grief is a real thing.
yeah. I wouldn't put past Doctor Who to bring maybe back for Joe's last episode, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they're bringing everyone back for that. Um,
Yeah.
it's quite crazy. Um, because it's I think it's they call it the Doctor Who Century Special to celebrate the BBC like 100 years.
Mm,
Um,
that'd be good. Yeah, definitely be tuning for that.
yeah, you've got the thing I'm interested in, because they got the Daleks and Cybermen in the same episode. So the last time I saw that was with like I think the Doomsday kind of storyline. So I want to see if they have a conversation again.
Yeah, definitely. I I, I definitely want to see that. Daleks, you'll never get sick of seeing Daleks. They're always so good.
Yeah, it is gonna be fun. Like um I would like to see different Time Lords like within the next series, other than maybe the Master, because there's so many more they can have. Um,
Mhm.
like a main Time Lords, you know.
Okay. And different TARDISes and stuff. Because wasn't it the TARDIS originally could take the form of something near there, and it just got stuck as a core box? And maybe we could see another TARDIS that can morph into those different things.
Yeah,
So I think they couldn't do it because it would be too tricky to keep changing it. But they can do anything now in the digital age. So
yeah. They could even bring back dead actors in Doctor Who because the technology is so much clever now.
yeah, that's true. But even that they did with you know, the actor who played the first Doctor when they did the dramatization of how Doctor Who began. I mean, they used him as the first Doctor, so you could always get actors come into it to play old Doctors who played old Doctors. So that might be one way of doing it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You could recreate them digitally, most definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see something like that with Sarah Jane,
Mm-hmm.
like Sarah Jane's character,
Mm-hmm.
because she didn't really get like in Doctor Who. She didn't. No one said goodbye, I guess.
Yeah.
To her. I know that they did a like little clip like with Mrs. Smith and that for her, but there wasn't something in Doctor Who. Which I'm glad that she got to have like David Tennant and Matt Smith like work with them and Sarah Jane and Doctor Who.
Yeah, wasn't there the Sarah Jane Chronicles as well?
I think so. Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't really see that, but I'm glad that, you know, she had that. But the actress who played her passed away, didn't she? So
Yeah. Yeah. Like Bernard Crippington as well. Like
yeah,
more recently he played Wilfred. So
yeah.
um, that that was sad. But he's supposed to be in the 60th. So I hope all the scenes that he was supposed to do there was fulfilled. So you can see a little kind of have a little send off for him
Hmm.
character.
Yeah, definitely. So looks like something definitely worth watching.
Yeah.
Um,
You got Donna, so yeah, you'll be having a good time there because you like Donna.
I do like Donna. I do like Donna.
Yeah,
That'd be so good. Do you know,
yeah,
I sometimes wish that um that Donna could come back as a full companion again. Like, can we have a re-companion of an old companion? That'd be good. It's an
yeah,
old company. It's like having your old friends back, you know, from school.
yeah, yeah. It's gonna be fun. Like but I don't know if David Tennant's come back as a 10th Doctor. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens there. If like it's gonna be interesting. I always get excited, although we don't like change in Doctor Who. I always get excited about a regeneration. Um, uh, not the more to see what happens, like what's the cause of it, why is the Doctor getting regenerated for, um, and then to see like who it is next, because it's like there's a whole rumor going around, like it might be David Tennant might regenerate in a while, and because the 60th is coming up, and then maybe Shooty Gapwell the next door on Doctor Who maybe gets introduced a bit later on.
Mm,
Um,
that
yeah.
sounds very interesting indeed. But yeah, be
Yeah.
worth thinking about.
Um,
I want to go and watch it all now again.
yeah, you
So
should. You should. Also another thing about like linking autism into things. I don't know about you're the same, but because Joey Whittaker got a 13th series and she's the 13th Doctor, and Shooty Gap was going to get a 14th series and he's going to be the 14th Doctor. So okay, I like with numbers and autism. I always think about that.
hmm yeah, correlation between I mean, they could always do twos, like go up in twos. So you have two series per Doctor, that'd be 7, 14. So all of that, but it's I think that's a good way of looking at it in numbers.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, it's good and like um it's fun and like the autism community is kind of really impacted by Doctor Who as a show.
Hmm.
Um, and during this series area, I've had people that aren't autistic too. So
Hmm.
I so if they don't know about it, like you can because people know about Doctor Who. If you like Doctor Who, you know more or less you go know more about Doctor Who than some people do about autism. So I
Hmm.
thought linking the two between them, like having like splitting it in between, like having some autistic, having some non, because some people you normally get now like people know about it, but they don't often know a lot about it. So I
Hmm.
thought that was a good way to do things.
Yeah, sounds pretty good.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yes, I think just to maybe finish on is one thing I found was one of my favorite episodes again with Donna was the adipose one,
Oh,
because I really wanted to get a plush adipose
oh
because
my.
I wanted something to as stressful like an adipose, and I did find them, but apparently they didn't get good reviews because they burst.
Oh,
So I was thinking of maybe sort of like because I've got clay, is making my own clay adipose. I know that I won't be able to squish it, but that's one thing I'd like to do is get my own adipose, or see if I can get an adipose pop vinyl.
yeah,
Like it.
yeah. Yeah, I like collecting like teddies and that. Like you can see down there, like you've got K9, the 13th Doctor Builder Bear and the 10th Doctor Builder Bear. Um,
Oh,
and I also got a 10th Doctor Pudsey. I wanted to get the 11th Pudsey, but they didn't have it in stock. But I love collecting teddies, like not just Doctor Who. Like if I go to somewhere I'm interested in, I'll get one. And add, the adipose is on the list, so I do want an adipose kind of thing. Because I like making Doctor Who videos, like acting it out and stuff. That's another like interest of mine. Um, but yeah, you have to let me know how that goes. You have to show me what the the clay adipose looks like.
if I could make a decent one, I'll show you. If not, if I find one on Amazon, I'll see if I can link you to that. But it sounds like a
Yeah.
really good thing. Or have an adipose on my keyring. So
Oh.
that sounds pretty good.
Yeah. I guess like before we finish, like if there like I know you said before that you might not have like a quote, but did you have a any advice that you want to give about autism?
I'd say probably just be a bit more open to there being different worlds out there. And when I say worlds, I don't mean physical worlds, is ways of seeing the world. That the blueprint for what we would call neurotypical isn't the right way of being, and that there are other ways of being. So, say for example, if you think of the Ood, they may look very odd and scary, but appearances can be deceiving. Whereas it's the same with us with autism. We may look the same, we're not. So bear that in mind. That's all.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Well, I love that you can link like autistic people to like in the same mindset of the Ood because like that's really clever. Yeah.
I do like to do that linking and analogies. I think are probably
Yeah.
the ways that I see things best. And I don't know what it is about that particular species. I just sort of think they're they're odd like me. And plus, you don't have they don't have the same sort of art. You don't have to keep the same eye contact and the facial expressions and everything like that. So they seem to be a lot easier to get on with, probably.
Yeah, they do. Um, it's almost like yeah, I completely agree there. Well, I I hope to see you in Autistica, Ery. We'll have to
Well,
I'll see you there.
yeah, yeah. If it ever comes to
Right.
fruition, you'll be on the first boat ride. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And I look forward to that, like that little kind of the thing that you said you might do about like autistic or autistic. Being able to kind of create maybe what it could look like, or something.
yeah. I think there's a website where you can sort of like do a little bit like what Tolkien did, where you can make up your own worlds and stuff like that, even your own religions and laws and everything. So if I can actually get somewhere that like an island and call it Autistica, and then I can just sort of make it so it's all in the right order and everything like that. That'll be, and maybe like you said, like more wintry.
Yeah,
That'd be nice.
yeah.
Hmm.
I have a couple of food standing in it or something.
Yeah, I think the Oods I think can probably just be like the
Guardians or something like the
guard,
protectors.
guard guardians definitely. Yeah,
Yeah,
that'll be nice. That'll be good. I think
yeah,
they'd be very honourable. They'd be very respectful um about it. So yeah, so
yeah.
the I think I don't know why it is about the Ood and the planet of the Ood that I just found that's me.
Yeah, we don't want them to turn red eyes though. We want to keep
No,
them nice.
no, we want good Ood, the
Yeah,
good
good.
Ood.
Yeah. Well, it's been great speaking to you, Ari. I hope you've enjoyed it
Hmm. I have definitely. Thank you very much for having me.
definitely, and like we'll keep in touch about all Autistica, and we'll see what we can do about it.
Alrighty.
All right, all right.
Okay.
Thanks, Ari.
All right. Bye.